Welcome everyone to the Locker Room, where there's no scripts, just real chat about domains, Web3, digital identity, and what's happening in our space. My name's Bailey Comyns. I'm head of marketing at Orange Domains, the registry operator for .locker. And joining me, as usual, is Don Ruiz, the general manager of Orange Domains. So welcome, Don. Hello, how are you?
Very good, Bailey. I am extremely excited to for this episode. We have a special guest
We have a
today.
very special guest today. We have Mohammed Bilal, who is some of the brains behind the operations. Talk to him all the time and seek out his expertise on the Web3 side. So, welcome, Bilal. If you want to give a little introduction to yourself and how you got involved with us at Orange Domains, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. So I am a software engineer, and I've been in the Web3 space for about 4 years now. I started off with an application called btc.us, uh, and then a couple of years ago, Orange Domains came about, and since then, together we've been building the .locker solution together.
It's fantastic.
So, from the way I was introduced to Bilal and his team was through BTC.us, which is operated by Orange Domains, and that's the onboarding. That was the main onboarding ramp for .btc Web3 digital identity users. And I think there's almost 400,000 .btc names in space today. And that's how I was initially introduced to Bilal and his team. They designed and managed and ran that whole operation for the community. And when .locker came about, the idea was to connect .btc names to a DNS name, which was .locker, which we quickly learned as we were delving into this that that wouldn't be possible. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. So from there, we worked together with another team of developers and architects at a company called SetDev. They were responsible for helping with the BNS upgrade, which was required for .locker to be able to be minted on the Web3 on the Bitcoin blockchain. So we did that upgrade. It took almost a year from BNS to BNS v2. That afforded us the ability to have all of the regulatory framework pieces in place that were in line with how DNS domains work and mapping them to Web3 digital identities, which is how .locker works. What Bilal and his team did is they designed the whole integration piece from Web2 to Web3. Marrying the two different infrastructures, and what we were doing at .locker is trying to bring together two different cultures, even, and two different ethos of how things operate. So it hasn't been an easy task, and Bilal and his team have done an incredible job in creating this solution that maps Web2 to Web3 using .locker.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some challenges in there, definitely some wins as well. I mean, well, do you want to talk about some of the challenges and wins that you've discovered while creating the .locker solution?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting journey. I think the biggest challenge was that it's an entirely different philosophy, Web 2 and Web 3.
Yeah.
Web 2 brings with it some sort of regulatory constraints, and Web 3 is more about, so it's sort of like an order and chaos situation.
Yeah.
So bringing a certain sense of order to the Web3 side and ensuring that our solution sort of conformed to that and enabled that, that was a pretty big challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And trying to keep everything in sync too. I mean, on DNS, domains follow a very specific life cycle, and we had to mimic that on the Web3 side. And to keep everything in lockstep, to keep that user experience in line, isn't an easy task. And you guys created kind of that sync application, or worked on that sync application to make sure everything stays in line, which
Yeah,
is huge.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so essentially what we did, so our solution was like a glue-in solution between both of these worlds. Um, since we wanted to conform to some regulatory constraints on the Web2 side, we initially decided that every trigger for our solution was going to originate on the Web2 side. And we designed the solution that it could handle any sort of trigger. So it could be a domain registration or a domain renewal. It could be a domain expiration or a deletion.
Yeah.
For each trigger that we got on the Web2 side, we would then perform an appropriate action on the Web3 side.
Yeah.
So that could be minting a name, minting an NFT, or renewing a name. So an appropriate action, and we perform these. Each action is essentially just a transaction that we broadcast on the blockchain, and a transaction is just a method of like performing a certain operation on the blockchain. We designed the solution so that it could handle any sort of trigger, and it could handle any sort of chain, and we designed it so that it could handle any TLD, and that's how we came about our mass solution, and that's our white labeling solution.
Yeah, Maz, huge. I know you love it, Don.
I do. You know, when we were building this and, you know, meeting with the solutions team, it kept rolling around in our conversations about, is this something we could offer to other groups? And then we were kind of positioning and looking at .locker as more of a prototype from the get-go. So what Bilal and his team and SetDev did is designed a solution, minting as a service, that is basically a white label version of .locker that we could use with other partners. So we're in talks with them and really leaning into the next round of TLDs. We think that what we've done with .locker is positions our solution as a very viable option for many of these registries and TLDs that will be come to market in the next round.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important to call out that Moz isn't just, you know, what's going on in the background. It's also the user flow, which is just as seamless as what's going on under the hood. You know, it's built for a beginner user. It's built for a domain customer that may not be as familiar with Web3, which is something we don't always see on the Web3 side. It tends to be a little more technically advanced and maybe not for the average user.
That's a good point, because you know, working with this solutions team who are incredibly talented, you know, and we've had many debates as we were designing this on trying to create a solution that has limited number or a minimum number of steps for users, make it feel more like a Web2 experience than all of the steps that are required typically in Web3. And I feel that Bilal and his team have done an incredible job on being able to combine steps or remove steps or hide steps from users and make the transactions in the background so that it makes the experience smoother. And that goes everything from getting their first wallet to minting a name and then using that name in the Web3 space.
And also getting Bitcoin through our digital asset reward program.
See what you've done there. That's a great segue into Dare. Yeah.
I mean, we do give away Bitcoin. We've said it before. If you claim customers who are users who claim their digital identity can receive Bitcoins directly into their digital wallet they set up with .locker. And that's a really unique program. And it's also built on triggers. Right, Bilal? Like it's built on the same triggers that you guys are using to, you know, mint and delete and all the life cycle things.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing because when we built out the .locker solution, one of the sort of goals of it was to introduce people to the Web3 space. And one of the biggest names in this space is Bitcoin. So we just thought, why not just give away a bit of Bitcoin as an incentive for people to sort of get introduced to this space. And to that end, we took a sort of leaf from our previous solution, the .locker one, and we built another system that was trigger based. Again, the trigger could have been anything. We can send out like a rebate, a certain amount of Bitcoin on a domain registration, on a renewal, or any sort of trigger that we want.
Yeah.
And then we thought, why not just why limit ourselves to Bitcoin? So we built the system so that it could handle all sorts of different cryptocurrencies because, when you're getting $5 of Bitcoin, maybe you'd like $5 of Ethereum as well. So that's how we came about for that's how Dare actually came about, and I think that's one of the coolest things that we've actually built.
Yeah.
I agree, and I have to add that it was almost a joke when we were talking about, hey, let's give away some Bitcoin to our users to incentivize them for registrations and also kind of lead them into the Web3 space. And it turned into a reality. We were like, well, why don't we, and why can't we? And we started to dig into it, and then Bilal did his thing and did a bunch of research into how this could actually work and setting up wallets and stuff like that. So when we brought it out to present to people, I have an interesting story about the first time I actually did a demo, and it was a live demo, and I was at an ICANN conference, and I registered a test domain name, .locker name, and set up my wallet, of course, minted my name, and within a few minutes, I had $5 of Bitcoin in my wallet, and I was showing the people that I was doing the demo for, look, this is what Dare does. We actually give away some Bitcoin. So that evening, I was looking at this because it was a really cool kind of solution, and I opened up my wallet, and it was $5.29. So it actually appreciated over a few hours. There was a jump in the Bitcoin price at the time, so I took a screenshot, and the next day I ran into those people and showed them, and they thought it was pretty cool as well.
You could potentially pay for your domain name.
Over time,
Maybe
yeah, I
not
think,
today,
yeah,
but in the future.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just to show how close this integration is, and just to show how, how tight the design is between Web 2 and Web 3, is the trigger for the Bitcoin is the 5-day AGP, which I think a lot of solutions don't consider, all the life cycle, triggers, all the life cycle points. Like, this is very much respecting Web 2 and Web 3 and all the milestones that the domain may or may not go through. I think that's just very smart, super smart, obviously for, the Bitcoin part, but just respecting kind of both worlds.
Well, and I could kind of jump in here again with this case, and we thought about that was that we were designing it and understanding the life cycle and how it kind of works after a name is actually registered. What we didn't want to get into is a situation where people were registering names, collecting their Bitcoin, and then deleting it. And so it added another layer of complication in the design of it. But Bilal and his team were obviously able to work around that.
And get back in full screen here. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
That's good. So yeah, I mean, we're excited with where we're at. We're excited with everything that has been built to this point, and working with the talented team at Tintash and Bilal that Bilal leads has been incredible. And we're going to continue to push. We have a lot of things that we're continuing to work on. There's a referral program that Bilal has been and his team are working on.
Yeah.
Also, connected into the Ethereum, the ENS resolver. Now we're looking at other chains. We're looking at minting at other chains, offering more utility and diversity and choice for users. But at the same time, keeping in mind that, the whole goal here is as Web3 becomes more mainstream and there's more use cases, that .locker is a solution for many groups, but and many users, but also the Moz is a good solution for these. And the Dare, going back to that real quick, is so interesting because as Bilal said, it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. It could be any digital asset. And that lends itself really well to other TLDs that
yeah.
play in these very unique spaces. It could be gaming or something where they could be giving away
Yeah.
rewards in gaming. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. So I think we're in a good spot and excited and very thankful to have Bilal and his team
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
as part of the solutions team.
There's no way we could have done it without Tintash, without SetDev, without all their knowledge and really bringing it all together for us. So very much appreciate them. Could not do it without them. So I think that's it for today. Once again, Bilal, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all your knowledge and helping us bring .locker and Moz to life. And on that note, I'll leave you with our social profiles. Of course, you can find us on LinkedIn as Orange Domains, and you can find us on X and Discord as .locker. And that is all for the .lock room today. Thank you for joining us. Bye, guys.
Bye now.